to the Voiceover Round Table. I'm Mike Tobin.
And I'm Emma O'Neill. Every week, we get together to talk about all things voiceover, with a special focus on community.
Bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
Let's get started. This is the Voiceover Round Table.
Yeah. I'm so excited. It's gonna be awesome.
What, Doozer? People really buzzing about this one. I'm seeing comments. I'm getting messages on some of the socials and stuff like that. This cool. Yeah, I mean, I love all these shows, but there's some certain shows that sometimes people are just really fired up about, and this is one of them.
Yeah, seriously, I've got my pencil sharpened. I have my notepad ready to take all of the notes because I feel that this is a really important episode. It's going to give a lot of information that, a lot of people are just kind of waffling and talking about, but not necessarily gathering the correct information. So we have the source on the line.
The source code.
The source. Our guest tonight is award-winning Los Angeles-based voice actor, studio owner, advocate, and educator. And as of 2022, although it probably feels like an eternity already, he is the founder and president of NAVA, the National Association of Voice Actors. He's also the co-owner and editor of the Voiceover Resource Guide, and he's best known for his work on Hunter x Hunter, One Punch Man, and as Longcaster in Ace Combat 7. Most recently, you can find him as the voice of the PBR, Pro Bull Riders Association on CBS. Aries in the Netflix show A Record of Ragnarok, and as the English voice of Navin in the dub of Beforeigners. He is currently the voice of Toymakers, the #1 hit show on the Velocity Channel, as well as the American voice of the Morphe's sleep aid device.
Cool.
Right?
In 2016, he voiced the new History Channel series Evil Genius, an 8-episode series about the most ingenious crimes of the last 100 years. In 2015, he was the winner of the That's Voiceover CBS 2 Audition Spotlight. We talked about that a few weeks ago with Joan and Rudy. Since 2016, he's been nominated for 12 SOVAS Awards, including Best Political Voiceover, Best Promo, Best Narration, and some demo production categories. Currently, he works out of he works out of Soundbox LA, his custom-built and fully equipped voiceover studio located in the beautiful Hollywood area in California.
Please welcome to the Voiceover Roundtable, Mr. Tim Friedlander. Hello, yay.
Wow, it sounds so impressive on paper when you say it out loud.
Right? You are impressive. It's awesome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
I'm so glad that we were able to make this work out, and I know you are so busy all the time that it was just like, oh God, is this actually going to happen? Please don't cancel. I know you've got so much going on.
Nope.
So
We got it.
We're good.
For you. Yeah, let's do it.
We saw each other 3 times in LA within 5 days. Like,
I know, right?
Heard of. So we can make this happen.
Yep, absolutely.
We can make this happen, right?
Absolutely. We did. We're making it happen right now.
We're doing
Right?
it.
We're
It's
doing
real. This is live show, folks. And Tim, please know that we're truly, truly grateful because, man, you've been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with your work for NAVA, which we'll dive a bit deeper into in a little bit. I just lose track of where you are, where you've been. There's like all these VO conferences, Comic-Cons, symposiums, webinars, and even presentations to the Federal Trade Commission. I gotta ask, you getting any sleep?
I keep asking him this. He says it.
I've had a couple naps today already. Yeah, I was taking a nap
of naps.
This thing.
Is that what we call it?
Great. It was great.
I don't know. Tell us more about this, especially the Federal Trade Commission. I want to know more about what's like. You're like worldwide. You're like hit the governments.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, we presented to the EU Committee on New Technology a couple months ago. We helped write the proposal for the amendment to the new EU AI Act for voice specifically. We're coming up to our end of our first year in NAVA. We're not even a year old yet. We'll be a year old in about 3 weeks. And we just put together our actually kind of our year in retrospect. We're looking at we've gone from 0 to 805 members in less than a year.
Oh, wow.
It's
Congratulations.
insane. We've been at, 15 industry events. We've hosted 28 classes. We've met with legislators and lawmakers at the federal and state level. We actually just came out, we officially endorsed a Senate bill today that just came out, which is an AI Transparency Labeling Act of 2023 with Senators Schatz and Kennedy. And just, it's just, we've been in the right place at the right time. And we have just, an amazing group of people that we work with, the board, that has been phenomenal, and an amazing group of members who have been out there to support us, who show up to the events, who are coming and talking to us about, what they want to see from NAVA and what we can do to help them. And all this stuff that we've just been doing for the last year, which is just, mind-boggling that it's only been a year. But it's crazy.
It's literally dizzying. I don't know how you do all of the things that you do. So hopefully tonight is a little yeah. I can't get the groceries done right now, so I'm not understanding. Like literally, the fridge is empty. I'm like, and then Tim Friedlander's on the show tonight. I'm embarrassed. It's terrible. Pretty sure I sat around doing nothing for a little while longer, and I could have something
around. Yeah, I sit around doing nothing a lot of the time. It's great.
Well, sometimes you need to.
Yeah, like I said, the thing with NAVA and Karin, our vice president, co-founder with me, is we've talked about this a lot. Is that this is the easiest thing we've done in a long time, because it is just, it's what needs to be done, and if you doing what needs to be done is simple. This is all stuff that she and I have done with our various groups. She has her voice actors at NYC group that she started, and I have the Gardner Collective and the other groups that we started in LA. This is just an outgrowth of that. This is just a continuation of the communities that we've built up, the small communities that we have, that we just saw the need for, for a larger community. And this has grown into a global community, which is phenomenal.
No, it's amazing. And with all of the work that you do, even though I totally understand that when it's something that you understand needs to be done, it just gets done. But hopefully tonight it can just be a little bit more chill, lull pad.
Sure.
I don't know, because who are we kidding? There's going to be lots of questions, but
I love the questions. Questions are phenomenal. I love these questions, and I see a lot of NAVA members in the here as well. I see quite a few NAVA members in the group, which is great. So, awesome.
Which is awesome. So speaking about NAVA, AI, and of course all of the things.
Yes.
It's going to be, before we get into all of that, you are a really accomplished voice actor. So
try to be.
Yeah, you're doing okay. So how is voiceover for you these days with everything that's happening?
With everything that's happening, it's dead. I'm not doing any voiceover at all. It's just,
you're sad, right?
No, well, I'm SAG-AFTRA. And that we're not hit terribly hard by the strike for a lot of stuff that we do, but I'm putting in about 100 hours a week for NAVA, and that's what we've been doing. It's all NAVA, all day, all the time. Because not to digress back to NAVA, but we have about 3 months to really get some real big changes in place before it becomes too late. That's kind of the general thought that we've been running on for a while. So we have until the end of this year, early January or so, to get some real distinct legislation and protections in place. Before either those who are running the tech or the tech itself, becomes too far gone that we will completely decimate the artistic industry, and not just voiceover. This is all artists in general,
right?
Or all artists specifically, I guess. But the voiceover has been good. I do a lot of political work, so I'm getting in, gearing up for the political season.
Yeah.
And working really hard to make sure that I have, that I'm available at the drop of a hat as needed. I've got my travel rig. I'm always traveling with my setup.
Nice.
And we have 3 studios in LA, so even really kind of regardless of where I am, I'm not too far from one of my studios in LA, so I can jump over to one of those if we need to. If we're on the road, we've got, as long as I'm not on a plane, you can pretty much work. As long as I have internet and a car or something someplace quiet, to get into. But it's been tough. I think one of the great things is that my agents know that I'm with Atlas, and they're very aware of the work that that we're doing, which has been great. So they're, no one's giving me a hard time. At some point I got to get back in the booth and make sure I'm looking some work, but in the meantime, with everything that's happening right now, there are there's more important things than that right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Tim, you just said it. NAVA's filling up the lion's share of your calendar. So, Emma alluded to trying to take at least some moments of chill and stuff like that. But I want to take this moment just to say, on behalf of all voice actors, and even the ones who don't know what you're doing, they're going to benefit from what you and your team are doing. So thank you for all the hard work that you and NAVA are doing in standing up for our industry and the other creative industries, as you said. Working with partners and stakeholders at all levels, like the unions, the agencies, the pay-to-play platforms, the government, all levels. Now, you did talk a little bit about this, before, but maybe you can elaborate a little bit. And I'm sure you've answered this a bazillion times, but for the benefit of those listening, can you tell us a bit more about NAVA, for those who aren't familiar, and its origins?
Sure. NAVA is the National Association of Voice Actors. We are a 501c3 and a 501c6. So we have the NAVA Foundation, which is what you can donate to publicly for tax deductions. And then we have a 501c6, which is the membership arm of NAVA. We launched a little over a year ago. We actually made the announcement at VO Atlanta in 2022 in March that we were going to be launching. And our intention was something I've been working on for about 3 years, was to launch with providing some access to healthcare for voice actors. Right. And that was our original intention. So much of the work that I've done in LA has been, I guess, education and guidance and advocacy for voice actors in Los Angeles to try and help guide voice actors, specifically in that bridge between the union and non-union world, to try and find that kind of information gap that exists and see how we could fill that in a way that voice actors would feel empowered and educated to make the best decisions for their career, whether that's going in the union or not going in the union. Particularly, that was our original focus. And we did launch with an access to national health care. We currently have about 60 members on the healthcare plan, which, if we got one, I would have called it a success. Because, it's the plan is great for what it is. It's going to be great for some people and not be great for others. And that's just kind of unfortunate that, the nature of healthcare in the United States is that you kind of have to balance out, find which plan is the least terrible for you and for you and your family. But then as soon as we launched with that in November, came this discussion about Apple audiobooks and Find Away Voices and AI narrators. And January, February, we started finding a bunch of AI voices on websites like UberDuck and FakeU.ai, and we just started having discussions. I had, it started with just one article in The Guardian and grew from there. I think the last time I looked, I've done 95 or 96 interviews for press, from, Wired to the Washington Post, to Vice to Gizmodo to university students who just want to talk about what's happening. And that's, I think this is really a broader, it crosses boundaries, it crosses demographics, it crosses economic divides. Is that this AI, however you want to refer to it, as AI or synthetic voices or generative AI, is impacting everybody, regardless of where you live and what you do. So it's, something that we just kind of got into accidentally, and we ended up launching. We were like, maybe we should put together some kind of AI rider, some template. We put out a template of what people should see in their contracts, and that rider has been picked up now. We're on version 3, which has some clarity. And if anybody hasn't, if you're using it, if you haven't seen it yet, version 3 is on our website, which actually has instructions on how to use it. So if a client comes back to you and asks questions about it, you can explain to them what the terms mean or why they're there and why they're important. And that we did with Rob Siglampaglia, wrote that for us, and has helped, kind of guide us through some of the early legal stuff that we've been dealing with. Rob's great, and he's one of the reasons why NAVA exists. He and Bev, when they settled the TikTok lawsuit, they had done a GoFundMe campaign and had raised money to help with the lawsuit, and they donated that to the Brad Venable Fund.
Oh my God, I remember that. We all bawled.
which became the foundation of NAVA. That actually paid for us to get incorporated. It paid for us to set up our 501c3. And then we turned around and developed NAVA into this big nonprofit that it is now. That is in December, we'll be giving away, we're doing the Brad Venable Academic Scholarship at that's Voiceover, with about $20,000 in prizes, whatever, to the to the winner of that recipient, which would be great. So, and then here we are. Here we are.
And here we are. Just while I have it in my head, the links for donations, if there's a link specifically for donation that we can pin to the top of the page, that would be fantastic to get on the drop.
It is on the NAVA website. Should be on the NAVA website. We've been in the middle of kind of just some transitional stuff where we're changing over names of things, so it makes sense for people. So NAVA, the Brad Venable Scholarship, is now actually under the NAVA Foundation. So actually, this is actually, it might be a little bit confusing. I need to figure out a better way to put this on the page. But if you go under contact, go to the Brad Venable Fund, there is a donate page on there.
Okay.
Donate button. A little confusing. Contact, Brad Venable Fund, and then donate here, and you can donate. When you go on there, you can actually, if you want to, we have a legal aid fund, and you can leave a note in there on whether you would like the donations to go to the legal aid fund, which we're using to help with voice actors who need legal advice if they're having their voices stolen or they're finding clients with breach of contract. The 80% of the voiceover industry is non-union. If you're in the union, you've got those great legal resources. You have that firepower. You have those resources to go after this breach of contracts. If you're not union, you don't have. You're either going to pay for it yourself, which for a lot of people it's not tenable. So we are at the very early stages of a legal aid fund. We've got three voice actors we're working with on helping finance their legal aid, to speak with lawyers and have contracts checked out. And also anybody in NAVA members also, this is something we're adding soon. All NAVA members, we pay for 50% of contract reviews with Rob Siglampaglia. So if you're a NAVA member and you need a contract review, just let us know and we'll cover half the cost of a contract review.
I knew I saw that somewhere, and I was like, I know I saw that, and where is it? And I can't. And
yep.
Where is it?
But part of that is that we have to keep very good track for since we're a 501 and not C3, we have to keep very good track of all of those requests. So we're working on getting a page on the website where you can actually request that, and we can keep track of it. In the meantime, if anybody needs help with that, they're welcome to email us with an official request in writing. As long as we have it in writing, then we can help. We just can't if somebody calls and says, I need help, we have to have them just submit an official request.
Yeah, there needs to be a paper trail.
Yeah, submit a paper trail, exactly. So that's just that's really what's been holding it up. So as opposed to just saying, hey, anybody can reach out to Rob, you can get a contract review. We actually have to put in some, really official steps in this. And this, we're honestly about where I thought we would be in 5 years, not in less than a year. So we're learning all this as we go along. So
the word pace comes to mind, Emma.
Yeah, right.
Seriously, it's
the word pace.
But it is. It's like with the pace of all of this, and especially with the pace of AI, artificial intelligence, synthetic voices, whatever you want to call it, what should we as voice actors be watching for or thinking about
contracts
right
read
now?
Your contracts. Read your
Let's
contracts,
talk contracts.
Read
Do
your
it.
contracts. That unfortunately or fortunately is the only thing that we have currently at our disposal that we can lean on. And remember that you are one half of that contract. We as voice actors are one half of that contract. They need us as much as we need them. And it is very, very hard to walk away from a job. But, this is the mantra we've had now is don't let your next job be your last job, or don't let your first job be your last job if you're a new voice actor. Because potentially, we are finding multiple instances of people who worked with a company 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago with a company is saying, well, you signed away the rights to your voice. So we now are going to just do whatever we want to with your voice. We didn't, even a year ago, I don't think most of us, if any of us on this call right now would have thought that we would be having this discussion at the end of 2023 about literally having our voices cloned and stolen. It's happened so fast, and the tech moves at the speed of technology, and unfortunately, legislation doesn't really governments, state governments, whatever, they can't even move at the pace of reality. sometimes. Is just, so to be able to keep up with that, is very very tough. So we have to do it. We have to look at that. We have to be the first line of defense. We have to look out for our rights as voice actors. We have to say, no, you can't have my voice in perpetuity across the universe for all media now. Or for,
Amen.
You could have it for this project that you're working on. You want this project? Great. You can have it for this project. I also, want to make sure that you're not assigning this third-party rights to somebody else. I'm on a pay-to-play. I signed a contract with a pay-to-play. Does that audio that goes then from the pay-to-play to the client have same protections or not? I've turned down work. We advised somebody the other day to turn down a substantial job because the red flags were it was too dangerous to take. But it took 3 days of us explaining why it was too dangerous to take before somebody could fully, to really get the gravity of that across. For anybody who has questions on our website, we have an AI synthetic page on the website, and we have what we call now our 13 questions to ask. AI questions to ask. And any job you do, before you do any job if there's any AI component, is ask these 13 questions. And we have a fillable PDF. You can just send that to your client and have them fill it out. But it asks questions that we need to know, which is, is the voice going to be synthesized? Will you allow a third party to create new works from it? Is it going to be generative? Meaning, are you going to allow my voice to say anything that it wants to, or are there going to be safeguards in place of what my voice can say? Do I, as a voice artist, have the right to revoke the authorization if I decide down the line that I don't like what you've done with the voice? Do I have the right to revoke that? And then find out anything else. Are any other part of the projects to be AI generators, the script generators, the music AI generated, the digital assets, any of those things AI generated? And then you also just ask them if any of these questions you just answered change, will you let me know? So something may change down the line. Contracts get data. Well, essentially, our voices are data, right? Data sets get bought and sold. Companies get bought and sold. Mergers happen. Where does my data go? We don't have any way to trace or track that currently. Hopefully, we will soon in the next few weeks if things work out the way we want them to. But
I'm going to ask about that in a minute. But
that in a minute, yes.
Oh man, but Tim, I love that you say, to be careful about the contracts and be careful. And people need to remember, an email chain is a contract, and sometimes there are bigger contracts and stuff like that. And your point to make that we're 50% of the equation, it's okay to push back. Yes, it's hard to, to feel like you may lose work and things like that. But would you rather lose a job, for a couple $100 for an explainer video because the conditions are a little bit murky? Or maybe, just have a potential career decimating event.
Yeah.
So it's, I appreciate that you're saying that it's okay to push back. I've had to do it recently. Yeah. They sent me this onboarding contract and it was like forever and ever you relinquish all rights for whatever reason, known and unknown. I'm like, please. Yep. So how much of that stuff is people being sneaky versus how much of it is people just being lazy with what do they call the contracts? Boilerplate contracts.
I would say that's a really tough one. I mean, that's just a judgment call. I think
for sure.
The larger companies that have had really substantial lawyers look through that know exactly what they're putting in that contract. They know what every term means. They know why those things are there. Some of the smaller companies may have just picked it up from a boilerplate, or they're working, they're the third person in the chain that this contract's been passed to, and they just pass it along to the actor.
Yeah.
Part of that is not only saying no, but saying why I have to say no to this. Educate the producer on why you have to say no, and say, I can say yes if you let's put a 2-year term limit on this, or let's put a 1-year limit. Let's put a 5-year limit on this. Something that says you can't use this in perpetuity, and then also make sure there's safeguards so that they can't just turn around and sell that to somebody else. Because what happens, and this is where what we've been struggling with for this most of this year, and we've talked with the Copyright Office, we've talked to the FTC, we're currently submitting our language on what we would like to see in copyright language if possible. Is that we basically sell our voice for money, and if you want the very very big sense, we sell the right to our voice for money.
Yeah.
And when we record that, we give that person the right to do with what they want with that audio recording, which is not necessarily, we get paid, most of the time, hopefully well for that sale. But, people need to understand that they're getting the performance, but also they're getting the sound of our voice. That's what they're licensing, or that's what they're asking for. And the sound of our voice needs to have some kind of protections in place. We currently have no protections over the sound of our voice. Outside, there's protections over that performance, but we sell that performance to a video game company, and that video game company wants to let their fans mod with that audio on the assets. They can absolutely do that if they want to, because we signed away those rights.
It's crazy. Our listeners and Emma know very well that I really had to work hard over the last year or so to get past the sticking my head in the sand when it comes to AI.
There's a lot of therapy.
I don't want to hear about the robots. Go away. Don't talk to me. But let's be really honest. It's actually pretty easy to get freaked out about this stuff. Go watch that YouTube video with that former Google guy, saying that we're going to be hiding from the robots in 10 years or less. And I wouldn't put children into this world. So it's easy to go down the rabbit hole of doom and gloom. Now here comes the pivot.
Yeah.
But I think if anyone is in a position to give us hope, it's most certainly you. So no pressure.
Yeah.
What do you think we have to be hopeful about when it comes to AI in our industry and what's to come?
That is a great question. And just ironically, your audio was sounding like a robot on my end that whole time, which is really cool.
So fun.
It was great.
Filter.
I sound okay though? You hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. I've said this. I gave a presentation to the bipartisan policy committee today, and I've tried to leave this on a positive note, because the more we've talked about this, the more that we deal with the people involved, the more hope I have. And I've left with more hope, because it's not, we may feel like it's confrontational, like people are stealing our voices. People that are actually doing that, they don't view this as confrontational. They're like, oh, well, I just thought I had the right to do that, and I don't. Okay, let's change the terms and figure out why. And we're trying to, we've got to talk to the CEOs of 11 Labs, of Play.ht, the CEOs of UberDuck and FakeU.ai, and they're all like, oh, we want to work with voice actors, so what do we do? And this is partially why the strike is where it is that we're trying to find some kind. And I say we as a SAG-AFTRA member. I'm not a part of the SAG-AFTRA negotiating. I'm on the organizing committee, but I don't have any inside scoop on what's happening in the negotiations. But I say we as voice actors in general, but SAG-AFTRA members, is that there can't be a compromise on AI right now. And the problem is we don't know what fair rates are. We know what fair usage is. We know what fair control and consent mean. But to find fair compensation is such an unknown that we're trying to figure that out. We've had multiple meetings with large companies who are coming to us saying, hey, well, we want to pay voice actors. What should we pay them? And we're going back with numbers that we think are reasonable. And they're all saying, yeah, that sounds great to me. We think that they're reasonable. We're like, but part of this is knowing how the technology works. I can't charge you for something if I don't know how it's going to be created or how it's going to be used. And a lot of times those things don't align with how the voice industry works. So we're trying to modify our way of thinking about how we bill for things, and how we charge for things, and the value of what we have, and hopefully find a way that aligns with the tech companies who create this and their clients and the customers are using it. One example of this is a generation fee. We're talking about a generation fee. So instead of a licensing or royalty fee, every time a client uses my voice and generates new audio out of it, they're paying the company for that, and the voice actor should get a percentage of that fee. So every time you generate something, we get paid for that extra generation, because we don't know. It's different than usage, because usage is, I'm going to record one script and you're going to use that single script a million times somewhere. I'd love to get paid a million times for the usage of something. But a generation fee is new content constantly being generated. So you don't have the same script over and over again. You have new scripts. And they could be 10 words. It could be 1,000 words. It could be 10,000 words. We don't know. So, but the company that's generating these is charging the client for the generation of that. The more somebody generates, the more it costs the client. So pay the voice actor whose voice you're using, who you find value in, so much so that you're going to buy that voice and keep generating with it. pay the voice actor like a royalty, the same way you would with music, right? The more music gets used, you want to license somebody's music, great, let's do that. You want to license my voice for this, great, let's do that. But it has to be with consent and control so that I know where it's being used and I know how it's being used and I have the ability to say no.
Wow. Wow. Which actually just leads straight back into what you had alluded to just a second ago, and I said I was going to ask you about. We were talking about this last time I saw you, and it's a watermarking. Tell me about this thing that you're working on. Magic.
I started this actually like 3 years ago, even before I started the NAVA stuff. So looking at using the technology, blockchain, NFTs, something along those lines to trace, track, and monitor your audio files. So that if you send them somewhere, you're able to trace and track them and know where they go. The company's called Lockvox, LLKVOX, and we're launching with we're gonna start reaching out to voice actors because we need to start training a deep neural network for this. But we're going to start with biometrics and work on creating a biometric system that can match the human synthetic voice to the human voice that they came from. So that you can, if you hear something, you can say, yes, that's my voice. You run it through our system, and it's able to positively match your voice to the synthetic voice. So to prove that that is your voice. And then at least the very beginning of that will at least have you be able to say, okay, great, that's my voice. Now let's see if we can trace and track and figure out where it came from. So you can backtrack to where it came from. Our next step in this is to build some kind of, which we don't know, this is going to involve like DARPA and NASA and whoever else is out there.
Mike's literally got his mouth hanging open. He's just
jaws hanging down.
Some kind of technology, something that we can embed in the sound of our voice that's not removable when it's synthesized. So then you have something in there that actually the synthesized voice includes the sound of this. I don't know if it's a watermark. I'm not sure exactly what it is. But the first step, blockchain, all of this using smart contracts. People think of it, blockchain, you think of like Bitcoin, you think of NFTs as terrible pictures of apes that aren't worth anything anymore. But the technology is there. Companies like Spotify have been using this for years. A lot of things are on the blockchain. It's very easy to do. So,
right.
Our intention is to be able to provide something that is just as simple as uploading to Dropbox. That when you do that, it's now traceable. You can at least trace and track where it goes through a smart contract. But the first step is the biometrics, to create a biometric system that can identify voice actors specifically. So you would basically create a voice print, you'd upload your audio to our system, you create a voice print, and our hope is to be working with these AI companies that they have to verify it against our system first to make sure you have the right to synthesize that voice. So you would check it against our system. If it's locked, you can't use that voice. If it's unlocked, you can use that voice. And you have permission. And so a voice actor could have control and say, I'm going to unlock it for this company and this company, but I'm going to lock it for this company. And so you can verify the validity of that. Because right now with 11 Labs, which if anybody hasn't used this technology, it's phenomenal. To say that AI will never emulate or be able to emulate a human is patently untrue. It may not have the emotion or know why it does what it does, but the fact that it can sound like it, and it's pretty darn close. There's currently, and I would challenge anybody, there's currently a show on Hulu right now that is fully AI dubbed.
Yeah.
And I would challenge anybody to, by watching the show, know which one it is. I'll tell you at the end, in case y'all don't look for it.
So you have to stick around to the end to find out.
I was sure it was going to pop. I wanted to hit two things. Like I was sure this was going to pop into the chatter and the questions or something like that. But you mentioned 11 Labs and a few other providers. Like, where are the safe waters for us? So like I'm seeing voice actors asking that question a lot online. Who is safe to use today? Because it seems like terms of service change like on a regular basis, and all of a sudden things are scary. Like who's okay these days? Who's in the good books?
Currently, nobody. I don't know that there is anybody that's safe. Because there are no regardless of what the company wants to do, if it's something like 11 Labs or Play.ht or FakeU.ai or Voices.ai to a certain extent, Voices.ai to a certain extent, there's no way to protect what happens to the audio after it's out of their hands. right? And so, once somebody goes on to 11 Labs and clones a voice and makes an audio file and downloads it, there's no control over what happens with that audio file. 11 Labs can verify that it was made on their platform and probably tell you who made it, but that's only after you find it somewhere or after it's caused harm, right? And so that's what we want to stop. There's a new company, Morphine.ai, which just joined our Fair Voices campaign a couple of weeks ago. They are working primarily in the video game sphere, I think, but they are building their data set, all of their voices from the ground up with full consent control and compensation and full transparency, so you know what is in there, where it's going to be used, how it's going to be used, and you have a say over how it's going to be used. They are literally brand new, but they're a company that's trying to, that is doing this properly. And the problem we have is that, if anybody's ever done, volunteered to read an audiobook for somebody that goes to the public domain, that audio is the foundation of Google. It's the foundation of 11 Labs, the LibriVox data set. If anybody's ever recorded from LibriVox, your voice is how Google trained their data set. If you work for, a lot of companies are casting on pay-to-play sites and they're in Beijing, but then they're turning around. If you read the contract, they're turning around and selling that audio to Microsoft for their Azure system. So now your voice is in the Microsoft system. And to say you're not going to hear your voice somewhere is untrue. Currently, there's some guy who worked for IBM. This is in the UK, and I need to find his name. But he worked for IBM 20 years ago. He recorded audio for them, and now he is the new synthetic voice of IBM without any compensation because he was an employee of IBM. There's 2 people currently who they thought they were doing internal training, and their voices have ended up being the flagship voice of a new AI site. And according to their terms of service on a pay-to-play, they gave up those rights when they did the job. So, if we can't trace or track these things, it's impossible currently for it to be safe. It's partially why we're looking at legislation. The Senate bill that we endorsed today, that was announced today, is Senate Bill 2691, Schatz and Kennedy, and it's AI labeling. And if you label something as AI, you at least give somebody, a consumer at the very least, but also whoever the voice is based on, at least enough information to be able to interact or not interact with whatever it is that's synthetic.
Yeah. I think you're onto something, saying we need the NASA folks and everything start the track and trace stuff. But I'm hopeful if they can figure out where the scam callers are calling from, maybe they're gonna, right? Get Mark Rober on the case and stuff like that. So wow. Yeah. Are there questions, Em?
We are starting to get questions. If you would like to do the mid-show reminder, I will start to gather them. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, let's do that. If you've joined us part of the way through the evening show, this is the Voiceover Round Table live here on Clubhouse every Tuesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. We talk about all things voiceover with a special focus on community, bringing you in-depth interviews, roundtable discussions, special performance events, and industry-leading guests.
And tonight, our special guest is Tim Friedlander. We giggle because I forget to say that every time because I'm scrolling through the chat.
Usually looking at the chat, so it's like a trap for her.
Then all of a sudden it's like dead air. I'm like, oh crap, that's me. I was supposed to say something.
We got through it. We did it live show, folks.
Ta-da! Nice. I'm a professional. Okay, so we have a question from Jane. I was just added to a new e-learning roster, and they asked for a short raw demo for their database. When is it appropriate to present the AI writer? 1. 2, are we sending in raw auditions without protection until we actually book?
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Right?
This is really kind of where the Fair Voices campaign started. Is that we reached out to, really it was in response to Voices.com launching Voices.ai to ensure that our raw auditions through these online casting sites were not going to be used and would be protected. All of the companies that are in our Fair Voices campaign have pledged to do that, have also changed the terms of service to ensure that the audition files are not used in any way, whatever, for training or anything for synthetic voices or AI. In this case, I would just ask for clarification with the roster that you're working with, that no audio is going out to clients that they don't know where it's going. This is a very tough one. This is a really tough one because somebody on somebody on a pay to play on Voice123 or Voices.com is asking for 500 auditions. Well, they've got 500 audio files in their folder. They can do with whatever they want to with them. Right now, it's against the terms of service with all of these companies to just take that audio, but you can't stop them and you can't prove that they took it. And you would never know, right? If they just throw this into a training model, they're never going to know whether it's there. So that becomes a danger with this. The best we can do is just talk to them. I'm not sure that the AI writer would do much for you, Gene, with the actual roster, but I think it would be worth talking to them to say that, hey, anything I've booked with you, I want to have this AI writer added in there so there's no issues with a third-party client using this. But you could just ask. I helped a client today. They did a bunch of auditions with through somebody about 6 months ago, and they were like, I never heard back, and I just realized I gave them like 5 hours of samples of audio, and now so they reached out and said, hey, by the way, I would like to ensure that you've destroyed those audio files that I sent you. So that's something also you could ask as well is, could you make sure that, after you've approved my audio that you destroy it? And that's something you could ask. I'm going to ask Max, answer Max's question here since it just popped right up.
Sure did.
Currently, so he's asking, can one's voice be stolen from a fully produced demo successfully, or is it just raw audio they can lift from your voice print? So this is successfully no. Currently, the technology will exist to be able to separate the voice from the audio in a way that is going to be viable and useful, but currently no.
So like if it's run through Music Rebalance, for example, which is an isotope product that can pull voice out and isolate it well enough, can't be used, not enough?
But potentially it could be, but most places, I mean, it could on probably on you could do it yourself, but it wouldn't be something that would probably be high quality enough for a client to use. Right. Everybody we've talked to, that's why they're hiring voice actors. If you could look back over the last 5 or 10 years at how many jobs came through for, we see somebody to read an hour of this audio for some training purposes. And that's what we were doing, right? That's what these jobs were. We're training these data sets. That's what they're hiring voice actors because they need that high quality audio, right? They need this quality stuff. So that's what we're doing with, what LockFox is doing right now is we're actually going to be requesting audio from voice actors to help us train our system for that. You'll send us audio, we'll turn it into a data set and then delete your audio file. So we're going to destroy the audio right away. And then from that, we will have high quality data sets that we can use to match your audio to a synthetic voice, and then also match your human voice to human voice. Yes, this is my commercial that's been running for 13 weeks too long. And I can prove it because I can biometrically match this audio to to this. So, it can be. So, can one's voice be from a fully produced demo? Yes, it can be. The reality of people wanting to do that, they're not going to get a very high quality product, but it could be believable enough for somebody to use, but it wouldn't be something that they could pull and put into a commercial and put into any like an e-learning or something like that. It's not something that I think could be done. I've tried it a little bit. It doesn't work well enough.
Right. Yeah, because I've heard people say that as long as there's music behind something, I think it was Melissa. Oh, I can't remember. She was saying because she used to work in tech and she's a voice actor, and I can't remember.
Melissa Medina.
Thank you. And she was saying that as long as there's music behind it, even if you can't hear the music, it won't be usable because there's something in the file that, if I'm super technical, obviously I can talk about that.
Yeah. She's the one who wrote. She's the one who wrote our 13 questions to ask.
Perfect.
For us. So
I want to go a bit further on that kind of the whole demo thing. Should we be turning off the downloadable feature of demos? I mean, many of us have stuff that does not have any backing tracks. So I think of, for example, maybe an IVR demo or an e-learning demo that there are certain snips of it that might not have any music. Can people be pulling that stuff to use to train?
They can be. I mean, we saw some voice actors get doxxed earlier in the year where they were somebody found their voices somewhere and created synthetic versions of their voice saying racist and homophobic things, and doing that. So yes, it's possible. On like the large enterprise side where companies are going to be wholesale scraping the internet for audio, what we understand from the companies is that that's not a viable way for them to build a product. So that's not even something they're exploring. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible, right? And as Carlos says here, he said it's in the audition process where the danger resides. Yeah. If you, it's very likely that it's in an audition process. Going through an agent, more than likely you know who the client is, but going through some pay to plays, you don't know where it's going.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of agents. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Oh, I was like, some of these pay to plays where you don't get a chance to interact with the client, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just with speaking of agents, just with contracts, I know that some of my agents who are working with NAVA are now baking the AI waiver into the contract. He's like, there was a few people that I was speaking to over the last couple of months. They're like, we're not even saying, hey, you need to sign this AI waiver. It's just, here's the contract for the job, and the AI waiver is baked into that. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
That's mind-boggling that people are doing that, but yeah, that's phenomenal. This whole thing where it's like, wait, people, this is actually working. What is happening here? Like I said, we're 5 years ahead of schedule. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So is AI.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
One of the things we did about 4 months ago, we actually presented our AI webinar to all the agents. We had about 50 agents show up, and we talked to them about what to look out for, what terms they should be concerned about in the contracts, what these things actually mean. Voice actors deal with this on a daily basis, but imagine, an agent just gets a contract with some language in there. They don't know what's going to happen to it, right? We honestly don't know what's going to happen to it. So, a lot of agents, really have stepped up to learn about what's happening, to know why there are things to be concerned about, and to know what to do if there is concerning language in there. And, I think it's great. We're working with, agents in Canada and agents overseas, and trying to get some kind of just unified languages in there. So
I was actually, it's like, what I'm going to ask. It's kind of fun because, what you were mentioning, some of the actors that have had their voices taken, and you were actually on a panel with one of them for ACTRA the other day, Alan Dubin. And so I'm curious with Canada specifically, just because, you're talking to two Canadians here. You're talking, I know you're talking to the EU, and I know you're talking to the US governments and on state and federal levels. What is happening in Canada that you know about?
There's a couple things in place that didn't work out. They're working very similar to what NAVA has been doing and what's happening in the US and in the UK. ACTRA Toronto is part of the United Voice Artists Federation that we helped found this year. So they're doing the same things that we're doing. I know there's some government, there's some copyright things they're looking at. There are various other things very similar to what we're doing. ACTRA is, I think they mentioned this on the on the meeting today, is that they're currently working on adopting the NAVA rider to go into their union contracts.
Awesome.
So that will be in place. And we're working with a lot of people. People working with visual artists and graphic artists and script writers to modify the rider into that language, because art data is data, unfortunately. And as much as we'd like to think that art is different, when it becomes a data set, it's just data. So, whether it's a script or whether it's somebody's voice, the computer doesn't know the difference. It's, you can't open that up and see a script and then hear a voice. You're just going to get data. So, it's once, yep, exactly. Yeah.
Such.
Yeah.
Which is actually really funny, because I've been noticing lately that even PDFs that are coming through with scripts, if I go to copy and paste any of it, when I'm pasting it into something else, it's like question mark in boxes. I'm like, isn't that funny?
Protected.
So now it's protected. Yep. Like I can't shift this over here just to make my eyeballs stop twitching because of the formatting of the script. So yeah, it's interesting how now it's being applied in places that you wouldn't necessarily. I mean, obviously you should think about it, but you just don't, it doesn't enter into your head until all of a sudden it's presented to you, and you're like, oh,
right, yeah.
What is Carlos is saying?
Yeah.
No, Carlos is saying the sad portion of the whole AI issue is that after all, it is human decision to protect and not the human voice. You always talk about that. You're like, the end of the day, it's not the machine making the decision; it's a person.
Yeah. No, if the technology is not putting it in place itself, somebody is making that choice to replace a human with an AI, a synthetic person. And it's, if you really want to get into it, it's generative AI. It's not fully sentient AI. It's not doing it on its own. It takes somebody to put it into place. It takes somebody to turn it on. It takes somebody to put the prompt in. It takes somebody to help generate what's there. So these are companies who are choosing to put this into play, and clients will gobble it up because it's going to be cheaper and faster and easier. And for new voice actors, and so that's something for everybody to think about on this line, is that a lot of times it's going to sound better audio quality than a human voice actor, especially for those who are first starting out. So, the danger that I see in this is that, a lot of people are going to lose their ability to learn how to be voice actors, because these are the places where you would be a voice actor learning are going to go to the AI, because it's going to be quicker and cheaper and better, unfortunately. So as a voice actor, you have to be the better human than the AI. And make sure you are
your sound has to be amazing.
And your hat.
Train up.
Absolutely, because the AI is not going to have a train in the background. It's not going to have garbage trucks. It's not going to have dogs barking. It's not going to be late for a session. It's not going to have source connect issues. It's not going to have a computer crash. It's maybe a lot of computer crash, actually. That's probably first by.
Yeah.
But it's not going to take 27 takes to get the right inflection on some. Maybe it will. Maybe take 500 takes to get the right inflection for an AI. But
that's where we come in.
Exactly. But I say where the hope in this lies is that those who work with human voice actors still want to work with human voice actors.
Yeah.
And they want to work with the human artists, but it is those people who are coming into this from a purely tech side of things, who don't understand what it means to work with artists, who just see this as a tech solution to a business problem a lot of times.
Yep. It's actually really cool. I had a session the other day with a client who had put an AI voice in as the scratch, and then on purpose he brought in the video guy, because the video guy just wanted to use the scratch. He wanted to use the AI, and the client was like, "No, we hire Emma because I could hear Emma's voice doing this. But listen to what happens in the session." And then we did the session, and was like, "Okay, can we try it this way? Can we try it this way? Can you give more, the usual crap?" And at the end of it, the video guy was like, "Oh my God, this was so helpful, because I've just never thought about the nuance of how something is said, that I couldn't necessarily tell. Like, I was just like, oh, the AI is good enough." He's like, and now I'm listening to it going, the AI is crap.
Right. Yeah.
So it was very helpful that it was like, the client was like, no, bring in the people who are actually trying to get rid of the humans.
Yeah.
To make their job easier.
Yep. And that's what we have to make sure that we do, is that we are making the job easier and not harder.
Yeah.
And in some places, it will be quicker. It's going to be, if you can generate an entire audiobook in 30 seconds versus 70 or 80 hours, then a lot of people are going to find that a very viable thing to do. And so we have to show them the value of why it's better to hire a human than it is to hire an AI. Or if you're going to hire the AI, make sure that the person who's voicing that AI is compensated fairly for the use of their voice.
Yes.
Because, as much as we would like to say no AI in anything, we don't have a say in that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. These companies are going to put these things into place, whether we like it or not. And I would rather be a part of the conversation to help guide that, as opposed to just being told what's going to happen with our voices because we signed a contract 10 years ago that gives it away.
That's, wow. That's a lot of stuff.
Pin drop, mic drop, pin drop.
Seriously.
Oy.
Well, we do have a question from Kat. She wants to know if we want to help you with your data sets, how would we sign up?
So we're going to put out, we're currently working on our consent page right now that's going to have very, very clear steps on what happens with your audio. And then we'll be putting out a call in hopefully the next couple of weeks for you to create a voice print. Anybody, when you first start, anybody who volunteers at first will get a free voice print to help build our set. And once we have enough audio, it's going to take about 3 to 4 weeks for the machine to run and create, basically learn well enough off of our audio to create the system for us. It's the same technology that you call it bank. It says my voice is my password. But we have to train it on our audio because our audio is completely different than what all these systems are currently trained on. But yeah, they'll be going around. You'll see it. It'll be coming from probably be through NAVA, and then the company's called Lockbox.
Lockbox. Right. Natasha Marchevska says, "We love you, Tim."
Hey, Natasha, what's happening?
Natasha.
Yes. What's Micah saying? I know a guy who can do it in 150 takes for cheaper.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's like, I mean, we've all, I mean, I don't know. It's just the stupid joke. Like the cheap clients are always the ones that are hardest to deal with, like it's
True. Oh,
So true.
Yeah.
Oh man. What's next on the horizon for you, Tim? Like what's in
because you're not doing enough. Like obviously you're bored. Yeah. What's next?
I'm going to go to the gym as soon as we're off here. No, but and then currently, actually, what we're doing, we have we just closed the Brad Venable applications on the 20th. So we had 1,103 submissions. So I'm reading through every single application personally to read that. We're getting ready. We're heading to Mavo next month, and then we're going to stay for an extra day and go to spending a day in Washington D.C. Meeting with some legislators in Washington D.C. and then hopefully the plan is to get up into Sacramento and meet with the governor in California here to talk about this. But lots of talking and educating and talking to people and doing interviews and talking to people at think tanks who are coming up with these ideas, who are be the ones to put this up into place. We hired a lobbying firm to help lobby on our behalf for all voice actors. To make sure that we're represented in DC and in the capitals where we need to be. And then we have our NAVA Gala in next month.
Yes, tell me about the NAVA Gala. Like, why? How has that started? Like, all of the things about it. Tell me.
Yeah, so we're actually putting out. We're doing an update to our. For those who are members, you'll see an email coming out shortly about an update to our dues. We're currently fully funded by our member dues, and this year we are running at about $100,000 deficit, either through money that we have paid out of pocket ourselves to get around, or the hundreds of hours a week that we all put in for free. So the gala is to help us basically just keep an operation, be able to build this legal aid fund so that we can help more voice actors. And we're doing a silent auction, we're doing a live auction, we're giving away some awards, and then we're having a band play, which also happens to be my band. So we're actually
nice. Well, that's
the event. But our goal is to raise a decent amount of money so that we can put a dent in that $100,000 deficit. Because as we go into this next year, I've been at 15 different conventions this year, AI and voiceover, and all over the country. And for the most part, I'm paying it out of pocket, and Carr's paying out of pocket. And, Matthew, who's our secretary, is going to Seattle to be at PAX and paying out of pocket. And we're covering the expenses of all our people to go to these things. And as much as we love to do it for free, it is expensive to run this and to do this properly. And we know that we have a short period of time to do this. So, you can donate to NAVA directly now if you want to on that page. Liz Atherton is running a giving campaign with Cast Voices that if you donate $600 to NAVA, you get I believe it's a lifetime membership.
It is, yeah.
Membership to Cast Voices.
And if you're already a member of Cast Voices, that they'll modify your membership to accommodate that.
Yep.
cool.
And and this is what gets us. This is what allows us to fly to DC and go meet with legislators. This is, we presented in Brussels, and had we been able to afford to get me to Brussels, I would have been sitting in that room with the Parliament, EU legislators, talking about this face to face, to tell them what it's like face to face about these things.
Right.
And that's what's going to allow us to do that, and it's going to allow us to just keep helping those who need the help, because as more people, as this tech becomes more ubiquitous and more used, more people are going to find their voices as the voice of something. It's just starting to trickle out, but we're going to see more and more of that if the technology becomes more widely spread, widely used. Somebody's going to hear their voice and go, "That is my voice, and what do I do about it?" We can't. Nobody on this planet can afford to single-handedly sue Microsoft or Google or Amazon or 11 Labs or any of these other ones, that are out there. So, the best thing for us, right, is, the gala is going to be awesome. We're going to have a great time.
Yep.
We've got, a full red carpet. It's going to be a full black tie event. We haven't announced we're keeping our icon award winner a secret until we get closer to the event.
I've moved into the gym so that I fit into my dress.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And we've got, we put it on the night before that's voiceover starts. A lot of people are coming into town just a day early, which would be great. We wanted to make it as simple and easy for people to be able to attend everything. So coming to town, a day early. Some people actually are like, yeah, I'm coming into town for the gala. Now I'm going to stay for the convention. And so, gives you a chance to see it.
It's working both ways. Yeah, absolutely.
It works both ways. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tim, for people who won't be able to make it to the live events, is there a way that they can get involved at that time? Like, is anything going to be streamed, a telethon style, or?
Yep, we're working on trying to do a live stream. We're looking at working on having somebody kind of do a live stream for us, but all of that costs money, and the more money we put into this, it's expensive enough as it is just to rent the facility and put on the event. We really want to try and do a live stream where you can actually do some of the auction through the live stream if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That would be cool.
Yeah, that's what we're really hoping to do. If not, you're always welcome to donate on the website. We do need to make that more clear on how to get to the donate button, because I realize it is like 3 pages deep on the website.
You're like, I know where it is. Why don't you? Yeah. Come on.
Yep. Contact Brad Venable Fund and then find the tab. So we need to find a better way to make that more clear.
But actually, donate at the top of the contact thing. Where does that go? I'm going to check that right now.
Oh, donate. Does that go? That might go to the same spot. Oh, that underneath the spot. Yes. Oh, yep. Found it. Yep. There we go.
Oh, it's actually, it takes you to it says PayPal thing.
Yep. Takes you to PayPal. That's the legal aid fund.
Okay.
And so you can donate there. And that is anything donated here to the foundation is tax deductible. And so you'll get that receipt. You'll have the track of be able to track it through PayPal with this payment.
Right. Yeah. So I've left the main website up pinned at the top of the event here that we're doing right now, navavoices.org. So as we said, underneath the contact, there's a donate that takes you right away. But if you want to poke around and learn more about NAVA, there's plenty of stuff on there for you.
And if you're
I'll definitely check out
NAVA,
if you're not currently a member. Yep, exactly. So actually, that's a good point. So we are coming up on our first year. We just did a big survey of our members, and 51% said that we should raise the rates, and 49% said that we should keep them the same. So what we're going to do, we're going to raise the rates to $175 for going forward for the next year. But anybody who can't afford that and needs to stay at the $120, you can just submit a request to stay at the $120, and we'll keep your membership at $120 for the next year. And so our goal is not to price anybody out. We want more people to be involved. But we also, some people are like, hey, I want to pay more. Our second biggest request, it was either keep it at $120 or raise the membership fee to $250 was the next vote. So we want to find a balance in the middle that lets us make some more money, so we can keep doing the things that we need to be doing, and also not price anybody out for that. But we do one member class a month, and if you go to 2 or 3 of those, that covers your you paid for your membership fee right there already. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, if you let people know what NAVA is doing, and it's exactly that. Like, there's so many classes that are available that if you're not a NAVA member, they're running maybe $39 or $59 or $79 to attend the webinar. Yeah. And if you're a NAVA member, you automatically get free access to those classes, which is phenomenal.
Yep, you get free access to that. We also, as the legal aid grows, we're going to have free access to lawyers, depending on what state you're in. We're working with Harvard Law School and Penn State to provide free legal counsel to voice actors. But you have to be in those states. So if you're in Pennsylvania, so we're trying to build that out so that we have resources in as many states as possible. But that'll be something you'll be able to access through NAVA. And then as we grow, we've been, we still have the Brad Venable Fund, which is small, but some voice actors have reached out and they needed some financial help. We've been able to do that. We don't have a huge amount of flexibility to do that. We don't have a multi-million-dollar foundation that is able to just give out money, but we have been able to help quite a few people out, this year with some of that if they really needed it. So, but the more of that we get in, the more that we can then send out to help the community. So,
nice comment from Eric Romanowski in the chat. It may be important to mention that NAVA is not just for voice actors, but also producers, engineers, coaches, etc.
Yeah, we currently it's been a little fluid as far as how we were doing that. So we're going to have a more clear explanation of who can join and what that means when you join. We are primarily for voice actors because that's where our focus is. But people like Eric who are supportive of, who are in the voiceover industry, just not as a voice actor. That's something that we welcome those people, because those people are, we can help advocate for that. And we actually just put up a best practices demo page today, if anybody hasn't seen it, based on some requests over the last 6 months for some guidance on best practices for both producers and voice actors on on best practices for a voice actor when you're looking to get a demo made.
It's wonderful. Wonderful.
We also have, there's a mental health page up there, which we had Reba Burrs, one of our members, put together for us, which has some mental health resources. It tells you how to access mental health resources if you're a member of SAG-AFTRA, or if you're not a member, or if you don't have insurance, which I think is personally very important.
Absolutely.
Somebody's asking about a best time to join as someone who's just starting voice acting. So we are a professional association, so part of the criteria to become a member as a voice actor is 3 examples of work that you've done. So some people are able to provide a resume for that. Some people are able to provide links on their website. But we are, there are lots of great places to learn and to grow in this industry. NAVA is just kind of that little step above, where we are looking for trying to keep a professional association for working voice actors. But there's lots of free resources on there for people who aren't members yet to get access to it.
Yeah. Tim, I wanted to ask you, because we're a kind of a cross-border show, if you will. You've mentioned stuff in the EU, but I know that because of things like access to healthcare and legal things and stuff like that is very U.S. centric. How is NAVA approaching international potential members like Canada or Europe or other countries?
Yeah, we're part of. So we helped found the United Voice Artists Federation. That's 18 nations, 36 association coalition of voice actors, including ACTRA Toronto. And we're working with all of these countries to try and figure out how we can come up with some kind of like unified language for what we need for AI protections. And you're right, outside of healthcare is, a U.S. centric thing. You have to be in the U.S. to get it. And if you're not in the U.S., you hopefully have it covered somewhere else. As far as legal protections, we have contacts in all of the countries we work with to access legal aid in those countries as well if you need it. Working with all the countries and all the associations in France. There's 18 associations, 18 voiceover unions in Spain. So there are tons of groups out there. So if we don't have the access to or the resources, we can find it for you. So that's really what we're trying to do. UnitedVoiceArtists.com, artists with an S on the end, is the global federation. And we actually are just, I believe, in the next couple of days, will be officially federated in France. So we will be a full official actual federation that we've been working on for most of the year to get that set up. But yeah, we're trying to learn about all the different countries and figure out how we can help in those areas. We've got groups working with Nigeria and Kenya and Togo to help kind of guide some of what they're probably going to see fairly soon. They haven't quite seen the rise in AI that we've seen here yet in the US and the UK, but it's going to be hitting them soon. And we want to make sure that those areas aren't taken advantage of because they don't have the education or don't understand, don't know, the way that we didn't know, 6 or 8 or 9 months or a year ago, right?
Months.
Isn't that crazy?
It's bonkers. I wanted to circle back to something you said early on in the show, because we're talking about months and timeframes and things moving so quickly. You had said, we got to get something done in 3 months. And that sounded really like, what? So maybe explain the urgency for us.
Yeah. I mean, the speed at which this technology is growing is exponential. And, 2 years ago, a year and a half to 2 years ago, it took about 10 hours of recorded audio to create a believable synthetic voice. You go to Veritone or Vocal ID, you have to record about 10 hours of base audio. Beginning of this year, it's about 2 hours. And as of like earlier this month, it's about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You need about 3 seconds on, you go to 11 Labs, you need about 3 seconds of source audio to not a fully, you're not going to be able to do long form with that, but you can create a believable voice clone of yourself. We are coming into election season, right? If we don't have something in place that's going to really deter disinformation and misinformation or require labeling of some kind, we are screwed.
Seriously.
I don't know.
So true.
Yeah,
like how else
deep fake planet.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be a deep fake. All it has to do is just instill a slight bit of doubt.
Yeah. Once the doubt is there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not only a fake voice, but no, I never said that. That recording isn't me. That's my synthetic voice. I never said that. So it goes both directions, right?
Yep.
And this goes, producers are just, something to point out too, is that producers, I've had multiple people ask us now, hey, this company I'm working for is asking for me to prove that I didn't submit a synthetic voice to them for this job. How do I prove this is my real voice? So it goes both directions, right? So we have to be able to prove it's our real voice as well as prove that it's a synthetic voice. So that I think is what we're, that's why I say we have a few months, because election season starts up November or so, the next few weeks.
Yep.
We start getting into, real election campaigns going on, and we start getting into next year with a U.S. presidential election, right? And if there are no safeguards or protections in place for all of this ability to easily create misinformation and disinformation, I honestly don't know what that looks like, because it becomes a worst case scenario at that point.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
It's just crazy. I just want to look on a positive note.
Yeah.
I want you, if you have a second, to scroll through the chat and see how many people are saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Natasha, NAVA has thought of everything. I'm so grateful to you and the team. Your labor is deeply appreciated. There's so much gratitude. There's so much thanks in this. Scroll through that just to get some squishy, fuzzy love.
Carlos, I'm a very proud NAVA member since day one. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome. Very awesome. It's myself. It is Karen Guilford, who's our vice president. It is Matthew Parham, who is our secretary. Tony Senator, who is our treasurer. And I'm just going to list everybody off because they deserve to have.
Yes,
so,
do.
Yes.
He's Andy Danish. So we have an advisor, a great advisory board, Andy Danish. Ayuli Ali Gravalio, who we know as Moana, is on our advisory board. Carson Beck, Chris Shula, Sissy Jones, Dave Fenoy, David Toback, Felicia Angel, Jamie Muffett, Jay Preston, Jennifer Sutton-Bell, Lindsay Rousseau, Maria Pendolino, Michael Scott, Rachel Slotke, Rob Morera, Paula Tiso, Scott Mortman, and Zeke Alton. That's the advisory board that's been working with us since day one. They were, Karen and I handpicked every single person on this, except for one person who volunteered. They were like, hey, I want to be a part of your organization. And so they joined us. And, those are the people that have been helping guide this since we started, and every single one of them came on. They came on without question, and they just said, "What do you need? We'll be there." And that was every single person on this advisory board. So, it's pretty amazing. So, yeah.
Teresa said it pretty well in the chat. The dream team.
Yep,
Beautiful.
it's true.
Oh.
It's true. This has been phenomenal.
Was this chill or was this?
Oh, this is the sixth time I've done this today. So this is not a problem. I've been on meetings. I love talking about this stuff because I think it's just, it's just this little light bulb moment where everybody's like, oh, okay, I can do that. I can look at my contract. I do know what to look for. I do know what to read, and I do know how to say no. And the more we say no to these predatory practices of in perpetuity across the universe in all media now or forever to be known, it will, we have the value. Somebody's paying us for the value that we bring to that project. Remember that you bring value to that project. And then make sure that you bring the best value. Make sure you are better than the AI. Make sure you are better than a synthetic voice. Because that's where that's where we're going to see the damage made in this is in that entry level, the beginner voiceover work, which and unfortunately, for a lot of people, they're going to get more value out of a synthetic AI voice, than they would out of a beginner voice actor. And that's, unfortunately is, I remember some of my early stuff I did. I was like, man, I would never hire myself again. Holy cow. But somebody did, right? Because there were no other options. Now there are other options. And it becomes an option.
True.
And, so, it's been tough enough for us to have to compete against other humans. Now we have to compete against clones of ourselves. That becomes very true. So.
Oh man, this has been so great, Tim. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. I know that we've got people that catch this on the replay. It's always, when we post it, like, oh, I missed it. Well, replay. That's what it's there for. So thank you for making some time with us. Thank you again for everything that you and the whole team do. We're going to be, keeping a very close eye because the coming months will be very telling for our industry and beyond, as you said. So,
yep, absolutely. And I need to tell you the name of the show so you can all go look for that show. So it is, it's a show it's on Hulu. It's called Vanda, Vanda. And just go watch the English dub. The English dub is entirely AI generated by a company called deepdub.ai. They are in Israel. And actually, while we were talking, the CEO just emailed me right now while we were talking.
That's very cool.
Supposed to have a meeting with him tomorrow about the rescheduling for obvious reasons. Because he is in Israel. So they don't need to have a discussion. This is not something important for us right now. So, but watch it, Vanda on Hulu, and watch the English dub. And they did. So you'll notice there's no credits at the end for the dubbing actors. And there's a full article about how this company did the dub. So it's not, we're not just guessing. There's full articles out there about this. So.
Ooh.
Wow.
But go watch it and listen. Go watch a scene. Go watch an episode and, not try and see if you can turn off the fact that it's AI generated and just listen to the performance, listen to the voices and see if you can just see if you're able to get into the performance or not. You may not be able to, but there are some terrible dubs out there. A lot of these companies started because the dubs were so terrible. That's right. Where a lot of these companies, deepdub.ai, flawless.ai, these big companies started because the foreign language dubs were terrible.
Huh. Yeah. It becomes what the listener will accept on the other side.
True.
Like what they'll say, yeah, this is okay. I can live with this.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And this is where consumer knowledge comes into play. Transparency of knowing that what you're listening, that I have the right to say, no, I will not interact with a synthetic version, synthetic voice. Or I will not buy this book because it's synthetically generated, or I will not watch this TV show because I know the graphics were whatever. You used to have that ability to make that decision for yourself.
Uh-huh.
Well, sorry, someone Eva's asking about
what's the address?
I'm not sure which address she's talking about.
So the website?
Website's up at the top. It's pinned already. NAVAvoices.org.
Mm-hmm.
And
Lokvox, Lokvox is another one. UnitedVoiceArtists.com is another one.
Chat.
That we dropped. I think we've got all of them. I am so grateful that you were able to fit us into your insane, completely banana schedule. And to everybody in the audience who took the time to be here and to ask fantastic questions, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, it's good. I love questions. These are awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much. Emma, what do we have going on next week?
Well, next week, the Voiceover Round Table returns with a truly round table as we celebrate our 1-year anniversary with a whole bunch of special guests who've helped make this show what it is. It's going to be very, very exciting. We're going to have special guests. We're going to have special surprises. We're going to have all sorts of special, and it's Halloween, so we're going to have to dress up. So, obviously.
You going to wear a mask? A mask? You don't need to wear a wig. I know that. That's for sure.
Come on now.
Awesome. Halloween evening edition of the Voiceover Roundtable live next week, Tuesday evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, here on Clubhouse Live. for the Voiceover Round Table. We will hear you then. Have a good rest of the week and a great weekend. And once again, thanks to Tim Friedlander for tonight.
You're welcome. Thanks for popping in.
Everyone.
Awesome. See y'all.
Yeah.